Want to speak real Polish from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at polishpod101.com.
Cześć. Cześć means hello in Polish. So when you meet your friend, you can say cześć, which would be like saying hello. But then again, you can use cześć to say bye as well. For example, when you meet your friend, you can say cześć, and then when you have to go back home, you can say cześć again. So this one is pretty useful. So our next phrase is dzień dobry. Dzień dobry means good morning in English, but actually what it literally means is dzień, which is a day, and dobry, which is good. So actually what you are saying is good day. That's why we can use it through the whole day, not only in the morning. You can say it in the evening as well, or in the afternoon. You can say it to your friends or to your family and to a person you don't know as well. So feel free to use it anytime you want. And our next phrase is dobry wieczór. Dobry wieczór means good evening, literally means good evening. For example, through the whole day you would say dzień dobry, but at the end of the day you would say dobry wieczór. Now, actually, a lot of people, it's very difficult to know when can you start saying that, when can you start saying dobry wieczór instead of dzień dobry. So a lot of people I know starts with like dzień dobry, they want to say dzień dobry, but they notice it's already evening and they say like dzień dobry wieczór, which is the funny way of saying that. You can try it if you want. Dobranoc. Dobranoc means good night. So you would usually use it before going to bed, when you want to say bye to your family or to your friends and just you are sleepy, you will just say dobranoc. Dobranoc, it's one word, but it actually came from two different words. So like dobra, which means good, and noc, night. So it literally means good night, but it's one word right now. The next phrase is jak się nazywasz? Jak się nazywasz? Which means, what is your name? If you meet a new person, you can use it, but remember that this phrase will be better to use with people of the same age or people younger, because it literally means, what is your name, not what is your name, sir, or what is your name, ma'am. That's why it's not too good to use for like older people. It's better to use it for your friends, for people the same age, or for younger people, for children as well. So once again, jak się nazywasz? And the next one is nazywam się. So obviously if you ask jak się nazywasz, what is your name, you have to answer that, and that's nazywam się, which means my name is. For example, nazywam się Marzena. So the next phrase is miło mi ciebie poznać. Miło mi ciebie poznać, which means it's nice to meet you. So obviously when you meet a new person, you ask jak się nazywasz, and you answer nazywam się, like nazywam się Marzena, and then at the end you usually say like it's nice to meet you, and that would be miło mi ciebie poznać. So the next phrase is jak się masz? Jak się masz? Which means how are you? Now, the funny thing is that we don't really ask that a lot in Poland. I mean, we do, but not as often as you do it in English. So when you ask somebody jak się masz, how are you? Be careful, because this person can actually give you the real answer. The next phrase for today is dobrze, dziękuję. A ty? I'm fine, thanks. And you? Dobrze, dziękuję. A ty? I'm fine, thanks. And you? As I told you before, this may not be the answer that you will get. Some people will say so, but some people will just start talking about their problems, about their life, and instead of just getting I'm fine, thank you, and you will get the whole life story of this person and all the problems and everything related. So be careful when you ask this one. It's usually good to ask your friends, people you are closer to, with whom you really want to talk a lot, and then you will get an answer, longer answer. But of course, if you are asked and you don't want to talk about your life, you can just say dobrze, dziękuję, a ty? Proszę. Please. Proszę. Proszę means please in English, and you can use it, for example, when you give somebody something. So like, proszę. Or when you ask somebody to do something, like, proszę, proszę, zrób to dla mnie. Please, 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 do it for me. So going to the next phrase, dziękuję. Dziękuję means thank you in Polish. Well, you can use it to basically anybody you want. When somebody passes you something, you can say, and saying proszę, you can say dziękuję. When somebody invites you inside, saying proszę, proszę, you can say dziękuję as well. When somebody offers you tea or coffee, you can say dziękuję. If you don't want it though, you can say nie, dziękuję, which means no, thank you. Nie ma za co. Nie ma za co means you are welcome, but what it actually literally means is there is nothing to be thankful for. So we usually say dziękuję, and the other person would say nie ma za co. Next phrase we have here is tak. Tak means just yes. Whenever you want to say yes, and it's basically the same as in English. So, for example, when you want to use tak, if somebody asks you, do you want a tea? Or do you want something to drink? And you can say tak. Or you can say, actually adding please, tak, proszę. And when this person passes it to you, you can add dziękuję. The next phrase is nie. Nie means no. For example, if somebody offers you something to drink, if you want it, you can say yes, please, which would be tak, proszę, or tak, poproszę. But if you don't want it, you can say nie, or you can say nie, dziękuję, adding thanks to that. So, do you want something to drink? Nie, dziękuję. And next phrase is dobrze. Dobrze means okay. So, for example, when your friends asks you to go somewhere, or like, do you want to go grab something to eat together? And you can say tak, or you can say dobrze, let's go. Yeah, sure, okay, let's go. Or if they ask you if you want to go together for a trip, you can say yeah, sure, dobrze. Yeah, I want to go. The next phrase is Sheprasham. Sheprasham has many different meanings. So it can mean excuse me, but it also can mean I'm sorry. So you would see a lot of Polish people mixing excuse me and I'm sorry in English, because it's actually one word in Polish. So for example, when you stepped on somebody's leg, you can say przepraszam. When you did something wrong, you can say przepraszam. When you want to pass through like crowd of people, you can say przepraszam, przepraszam, and find your way out. If you did something wrong, you can say przepraszam as well. So it's actually a pretty useful one. So it means excuse me, but it means I'm sorry in the same time. Przepraszam. Przepraszam means I'm sorry. Actually, the next phrase is która jest godzina? Która jest godzina means what time is it? If you want to ask somebody, excuse me, what time is it now? You can say przepraszam, która jest godzina? So let's go to the next one. Another very useful phrase. Gdzie jest toaleta? Gdzie jest toaleta? Which means where's the toilet? So gdzie means actually where. Jest means be or to be, and toaleta is toilet. So gdzie jest toaleta means where is the toilet. So if you are in a shopping mall or in a restaurant and you want to ask, excuse me, where is the toilet, you will say, przepraszam, gdzie jest toaleta? The next phrase is poczekaj chwilkę. Poczekaj means to wait, and chwilkę means a moment, and together it means wait a moment, please. When you see your friend going somewhere, but you still want to talk to him or her, and you can just, call them and then say, poczekaj chwilkę. Ile to kosztuje? Ile to kosztuje means how much is this? When you go to a shop, you will say, przepraszam, ile to kosztuje? So, excuse me, how much is this? Przepraszam, ile to kosztuje? Czy mogę prosić o rachunek? Czy mogę prosić o rachunek? Can I get the check, please? So imagine you are sitting in a very nice Polish restaurant eating pierogi or any other wonderful Polish dish, and you've just finished and you just want to get your bill. So you would just call the waiter saying Sheprasham, and then you will add czy mogę prosić o rachunek? And the next one for today is pomocy. Pomocy. This means help, and I hope you will not have to use this one anytime soon. But if you're ever in danger, if you ever are in a very dangerous situation, which I hope you will not be in Poland, you can use this one, saying pomocy. Do zobaczenia. Do zobaczenia means see you later. You can use it when you speak with your friends and with your family or with anyone basically, because it's not super formal, but it's not only reserved to your closest friends. So like for example, we started this one with cześć, which was hello, but it was bye as well. And this one you would use when you speak with your friends, you would say cześć. But then for everybody else, your friends included, you can say do zobaczenia, which means until we see each other again. Potrafię dobrze mówić po polsku. I can't speak Polish very well. Nie potrafię means I can't. Mówić means to speak, and then po polsku means in Polish. So nie potrafię mówić po polsku, it literally means I can't speak Polish very well, or I can't speak in Polish very well if you wanted a very literal translation. When you start learning the language and you are still not so good and you meet like people and you want to tell them that your Polish it's not so good or it's not super good yet, you can use this phrase. Nie potrafię dobrze mówić po polsku. Kellner, waiter, and it's a masculine noun. So for example, if a waiter is very rude, you can say ten kelner jest bardzo niegrzeczny. Ten kelner jest bardzo niegrzeczny. This waiter is very rude. And our next word is kelnerka, waitress. So kelner is the masculine form, while kelnerka is the feminine. For example, you can say ile zarabia kelnerka? Ile zarabia kelnerka? How much money does a waitress make? So in general, the service in Poland is not that bad, but sometimes you may be unhappy with something, and if that's the case, it's okay not to tip because the waiter or the waitress, they usually earn enough to cover their salary, but a rule in Poland would be to tip more or less 15-20%, but it's obviously up to you. So if you are more than happy with the service, you can go for 20%. If you are not so happy, you can go for 10 or just leave. Nobody will be angry at you. Our next word is almost the same as the English one, and it's menu. Menu. And with so many different restaurants, maybe there is some food you don't eat, something you don't like, and there is like vegetarian menu, and there is a vegan menu, and there is of course all the other types like pescatarian menu. So for example, when you walk into the restaurant and you are not so much into fish or meat, you can just ask, czy mają państwo menu wegetariańskie? Do you have a vegetarian menu? And surprisingly, even though Polish cuisine is so heavy on meat, we do have plenty, and I mean plenty, vegetarian restaurants spread all over the Poland, but especially in Warsaw. Warsaw is being known as European capital of vegetarian food and vegan food. And of course, one of the very important words when you are in the restaurant is zamówienie, order. Zamówienie, order. So zamówienie comes from a verb zamawiać, which means to order. So in English it's the same, basically almost the same word. It's just noun and a verb. order and to order. In Polish, it's zamówienie as the noun and zamawiać as the verb. So the waiter can come to your table and ask, czy mogę przyjąć zamówienie? May I take your order? Another very important word, not only for restaurant, but in general, is woda, water. Woda means just water. And I know that in some countries you can get water for free in a restaurant, but in Poland you pay for it always. Be careful when you order it, just check on the menu what the price is, because it can be actually pretty high, almost the same as juice or even beer sometimes. And we do have both sparkling and non-sparkling water. It's very popular. Both are. So, for example, if you are the kind of person who doesn't like sparkling water, you would like to ask for non-sparkling one, you would say, poproszę wodę niegazowaną. I would like to have non-sparkling water. And of course, when you finish the meal, the most important thing is dessert. Dessert. Dessert, you probably feel like you've heard it somewhere because it sounds so much like the English word. Dessert is dessert. 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 So when the waiter or the waiters will be taking your order, they will probably ask at the end, czy życzy sobie pani coś na deser? Would you like something for the dessert? So we've got a lot of different desserts in Poland, and one of the most famous one would be szarlotka, which is an apple pie served with ice cream and with whipped cream. Another very good one, but available, I think, only for Christmas, is the popsicle cake, which is the best for me. I like my favorite dessert ever. And of course, there's a lot of other pies. There's a wonderful cheesecake, very different from what you will see in all the other countries. So please be sure to try it out. Szef kuchni. Chef. So if you go with your friends to this very nice restaurant and you know that the chef here is very, very famous, you can say in Polish, szef kuchni w tej restauracji jest bardzo znany. The chef in this restaurant is very famous. Fast food. Fast food, which is just fast food. I guess the accent is more like Polish. And then another thing is that you know that in Polish we change nouns, we change the endings. So even though it's an English word, we would still change it. So it's like fast food, fast foodów, fast food. So even though it's an English word, we'll still change it. Like fast food sometimes would just become fast foodów. And we do have a Polish type of fast food as well, which is pretty old. This Polish type, it's actually Polish hot dog. And we still call it hot dog, but there is no there is no sausage or anything or any meat inside. It's just mushrooms. And it comes from the time, long time ago, when we literally didn't have meat. It was very difficult to get meat. Even though people had money for that, they just couldn't buy it. So that's the invention of that time. And I still remember it. Oh my gosh, when I was little, I just loved to go with my mom and buy those hot dogs. And we called them hot dogs, but they were like hot dogs with mushrooms. And that's it, just mushrooms, like just the bun with mushrooms. You cannot see them so often anymore. You can still probably when you just look around, but it's not that common anymore. If you are like me and you don't really like fast food, you will say nie lubię fast foodów. I don't like fast food. Restauracja, restaurant. And you can already hear it sounds very much like the English word restaurant, because it's restaurant. Restauracja, restauracja. And I guess you know that a lot of restaurants are being judged by having Michelin star or not having it. I don't think there is a lot of restaurants in Poland with Michelin star, but the one that do have it, they will be extremely, and I mean it like extremely expensive. Nevertheless, if you find one, you can always say ta restauracja ma gwiazdkę Michelin. This restaurant has a Michelin star. Rachunek, bill. Rachunek comes from a very old Polish word which we probably don't use anymore. A verb, rachować. Rachować means just to count. And right now we would just say liczyć, not rachować. But this word, its form, it's still there in the word rachunek. Rachunek. And it's also very important to just look at your bill before you go back home, because sometimes people may make mistakes, on purpose or not on purpose, but just it happens. And if something is wrong, you can always say, Przepraszam, ale ten rachunek się nie zgadza. I'm sorry, but this bill is not correct.
Cześć, jestem Joanna. Miło Cię poznać. Hi, I'm Joanna. Nice to meet you. In this series, we're going to learn basic Polish expressions. It's super easy and it only takes 3 minutes. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to introduce yourself in Polish. We'll start speaking right away. But first, it's important to clarify that in Polish often there is a difference between formal and informal language. Let's first see how Polish people introduce themselves in an informal situation. Cześć, jestem Joanna. Hi, I'm Joanna. Cześć, jestem Joanna. Miło mi Cię poznać means nice to meet you, but Polish people don't really use this phrase. In informal situations, it's better if you just say miło mi. Start by saying cześć, jestem, then say your name. Cześć, jestem Joanna. Finally, if you want, say miło mi. Cześć, jestem Joanna. Miło mi. And now let's see the same sentence in formal speech. Dzień dobry, nazywam się Joanna Suchecka. Miło mi Pana poznać. Good day, my name is Joanna Suchecka. Nice to meet you. Dzień dobry, nazywam się Joanna Suchecka. Miło mi Pana poznać. This is what you say if you're talking to a man. If you're talking to a woman, say dzień dobry, nazywam się Joanna Suchecka. Miło mi Panią poznać. Dzień dobry, nazywam się Joanna Suchecka. Miło mi Panią poznać. So what has changed from the previous introduction? Let's take a close look at these expressions together. Cześć has been substituted with the formal greeting dzień dobry, Polish for good day or good morning. Jestem Joanna also changed. Jestem simply means I am. However, during a formal self-introduction, you should avoid saying this. It's better to say nazywam się Joanna Suchecka, which means my name is Joanna Suchecka. Also, in formal situations, please remember to say your full name. Finally, pay attention to the ending. We went from miło Cię poznać to miło mi Pana or Panią poznać. We changed Cię into Pana or Panią. If you use Cię, you're addressing someone around your age. But if you find yourself in a formal situation or talk to a person who's older than you, use Pana to address a man or Panią to address a woman. One more time. The informal way to introduce yourself in Polish is cześć. Jestem Joanna. Miło mi. The formal way to introduce yourself is dzień dobry. Nazywam się Joanna Suchecka. Miło mi Pana poznać. Or dzień dobry. Nazywam się Joanna Suchecka. Miło mi Panią poznać. Now it's time for Joanna's insights. If you feel confused about the nice to meet you part, feel free to skip it. As I mentioned before, Polish people don't use it much. When you introduce yourself, it's a good habit to shake hands. It doesn't matter whether you're meeting a man or a woman. Do the handshake. Remember to make it quite firm. If your hand is too loose, it gives the other person a bad impression. We also say it feels like holding a dead fish. In the last lesson, we learned how to thank people by saying dziękuję. In this lesson, we will learn some of the most common greetings used in Poland. Gotowi? Are you ready? Zaczynamy. Let's start. There are a few informal greetings in Polish. Cześć. Cześć. Cześć means hi or hello. Another informal greeting is siema. Siema. This phrase also means hi, but it's used only by young people. Another very common greeting is hey. 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 Hey is very easy because it's exactly the same as English hey. All these greetings are very informal, and we should only use them with friends or close relatives. Now let's move on to formal greetings in Polish. There are only two that you need to know. We'll start with dzień dobry. Dzień dobry. Literally, dzień dobry means good day. We can use dzień dobry during the whole day, from early morning until evening. If it's the evening, we would say dobry wieczór. Dobry wieczór. What should you say when you leave? Polish people usually say do widzenia when living in a formal situation. Do widzenia. Do widzenia means goodbye. If, however, we are saying goodbye to friends or relatives, we can use the informal papa. Pa, pa. Or simply pa. Now you can greet people and say goodbye in many different ways in Polish. Let's review them all again. First, formal greetings. Dzień dobry. Use this phrase during the day. Dobry wieczór. Use this phrase in the evening. The informal greetings are cześć, siema, hej. When living in a formal situation, we say do widzenia. And in an informal situation, it's papa or just pa. Easy, isn't it? Now it's time for Joanna's insights. Do you remember siema? It's an abbreviation of jak się masz, which means how are you? But we just use it in the same way as hi. It's a very common greeting among young people. You will find, as you continue to study Polish, that new greetings constantly appear among young people who often come up with new uses for well-known phrases or their abbreviations. In the last lesson, we learned the most common forms of greetings in Poland. Do you remember them? In this lesson, we're going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? If you find yourself in a situation where you need assistance in English, this phrase can be a lifesaver. And because you're asking it in Polish, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you are saying, even if their answer is no. Here's an informal way to say it. Czy mówisz po angielsku? Czy mówisz po angielsku? Czy is a particle which has no meaning. It's similar to the English do. In Polish, verbs change depending on the pronoun that is used. Since you can understand what the pronoun is by looking at the verb conjugation, we usually skip the pronoun itself. That's why there's no pronoun after czy. Next, we've got the verb mówisz, which means speak. Then there's po, which we always have to put right before a language name. And finally, angielsku, which means English. We're now going to make this sentence formal. First of all, we have to change mówisz into mówi, because the pronoun is changed from you into a respectful pronoun meaning sir or ma'am. Then we add pan, which means sir, or pani, which means ma'am. Everything else stays the same. Czy mówi pan po angielsku? Czy mówi pani po angielsku? Czy mówi pan po angielsku? Czy mówi pani po angielsku? Adding przepraszam, excuse me, makes the sentence more polite. Przepraszam, czy mówi pan po angielsku? Przepraszam, czy mówi pani po angielsku? The response you will receive could be one of these four. Tak, yes, tak. Trochę, a little, trochę. Nie, no. Nie. Nie, nie mówię po angielsku. No, I don't speak English. Nie. Nie mówię po angielsku. Since the last one is a negative statement, we need to say nie before the verb mówię. Notice also that the verb is slightly different than before. Remember, the verb changes depending on the pronoun used. We are now talking about ourselves, so the sentence is nie mówię po angielsku. Now it's time for Joanna's insights. For those of you who are not only English speakers, you can obviously use this question with any language you need. Polish people study other European languages at school, so maybe you will get lucky. Just substitute po angielsku with po niemiecku for German, po rosyjsku for Russian, po włosku for Italian, po hiszpańsku for Spanish, po francusku for French. In the last lesson, we learned some words used when apologizing in Polish. In this lesson, we are going to learn numbers in Polish, from 1 to 10. And you are going to learn them in only 3 minutes. 3 minuty. Let's start. 1. 1. 2. 2. 3. 3. 4. 4. 5. 5. 6. 6. 7. 7. 8. 8. 9. 9. 10. 10. Okay, now repeat after me. I'll say the numbers and give you time to repeat each one. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Great job! What is before 1? Do you know? It's the same as in English, but with a different pronunciation. 0. 0. Now you don't have any more excuses. You can give your friends your phone number in Polish. Let's try together. We will use the phrase mój numer to, which means my number is. Mój numer to. Mój numer to 602 849 020. Can you read it by yourself? 602 849 020. Perfect. Now it's time for Joanna's insights. In Poland, we use numbers the most often when we go shopping, especially when we ask about prices, which you will also learn soon. We also buy many things per kilogram. All vegetables and many fruits are not sold individually, but per kilogram. Also cheese, meat, and sausages. So if you go to a grocery store or supermarket, you would ask the clerk for example, 1 kilogram of minced meat, 500 grams of cheese, or 2 kilograms of onions. In the last lesson, we learned how to count in Polish. I hope you spent some time practicing the numbers, because they will come in handy today. We're going to learn how to go shopping in Poland. Before we go, you need to know how to say how much is it? Ile to kosztuje? Ile to kosztuje? Are you ready to go shopping in Poland? Let's go! You see something you like and want to ask the shop clerk how much it costs. The first thing to say is Przepraszam. Do you remember what that means? Excuse me. Przepraszam, ile to kosztuje? Przepraszam, ile to kosztuje? If we want to be more specific when asking how much is it and refer to a certain type of object, we first need to know if the object is a feminine or masculine object. If it's masculine, add ten when referring to it, and ta for a feminine object, and then say the noun. For example, a watch is masculine. Zegarek. Przepraszam, ile kosztuje ten zegarek? Excuse me, how much is this watch? Przepraszam, ile kosztuje ten zegarek? And skirt is a feminine noun. Spódnica. Przepraszam, ile kosztuje ta spódnica? Excuse me, how much is this skirt? Przepraszam, ile kosztuje ta spódnica? And finally, if we ask about the price of a few similar items, like these t-shirts, these apples, these toys, we have to add te before the noun. For example, przepraszam, ile kosztują te jabłka? Excuse me, how much are these apples? Przepraszam, ile kosztują te jabłka? At this point, the shop clerk will usually answer by saying just the price of an item. For example, 15 złotych, 100 złotych, or 24,50. What number is 15? Do you remember? Of course, it's 15. Now it's time for Joanna's insights. A quicker and more commonly used phrase is po ile, which literally means how much. Then we just add the name of an item we want to know the price of. For example, po ile te jabłka? Or po ile ten zegarek? Or you can just say po ile and point to the item. Both ways are perfectly fine.
Great work! Here's a reward. Speed up your language learning with our PDF lessons. Get all of our best PDF cheat sheets and ebooks for free. Just click the link in the description.